Hey guys, Ash here for the Golden Blues. It's the max reaction to today's, or should I say at this stage of the morning, it is yesterday's 2-2 draw with Liverpool. Thankfully it finished 2-2. Not a very safe, like it's been updated, I suppose, match review from the one I did for the podcast, in the sense of things have moved on since you have more time to digest the game. And I think, to be fair, a 2-2 draw was fair the way that both teams played. We didn't have the best of starts, unfortunately, with conceding a goal for Mane in the first couple of minutes. Could Pickford have done better with it? Remains to be seen. But he scored the opener, and it was kind of your high confidence that was pretty much ready for that game had just been sucked away within a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. Moments later, we had our hearts were just, I suppose, pounding to see what was going to happen. When you look back at it now, and being bluntly honest, looking at Jordan Pickford, he took out Virgil van Dijk, and rumour has it, if you watch Sky Sport and stuff, that because of the tackle by Pickford, he is going to miss 6 to 8 months of the season. He's with his ACL. That remains to be confirmed. But it could have easily been a penalty, but the flag went for Van Dijk being offside. And as I mentioned in the podcast, I'm not sure how the rules work with that, in the sense of how come it didn't go to VAR, because if it did go to VAR, you can be absolutely sure Jordan Pickford would have been sent off for that tackle. But I was watching it on Bain Sports, and they were saying that the rules has it something along the lines of, because it was stopped for offside, they can't use VAR for that. Now, unless they go and do retrospective action on it, I don't know, but it was a serious bad tackle, and could have put his knee in half. And even us as Blues, and obviously they're our nearest neighbours and rivals, I don't think any of us would warrant that kind of injury on any player, whether they play for Liverpool or Swansea City, any of them. But as I said, I think at this stage we were amazed that it wasn't a red card, because we do know VAR is usually on their side. I did make a couple of comments in the podcast yesterday that I think the goalkeepers were going to play a part in this game, and they certainly did. So with our equaliser with Michael Keane, it was a lovely, actually just before that, it was a lovely effort by Dominic Calvert-Lewin that forced Adrian to put the ball behind. He was never going to score from it, but he put the keeper under pressure, because it was a very tight angle, and he hit it so hard that Adrian could do nothing but put out for the corner. From the resulting corner, the ball came in, and Michael Keane headed home. And when you watch the goal, it was like a Pickford error. He could have easily have stopped it. It pretty much went through his hands. There was a couple of chances like into the game where a lovely ball by Digne, but just before the goal, I suppose, he had a chance where he headed over. Another one was I think it was Gomez might have put the ball through, or flicked the ball through to Richarlison, but it was just too much pace on it. Adrian got to it before him, and it felt like every minute of the first 15 minutes we were giving the ball away at any particular moment. It was just very hard to keep up with them. The passes were very sloppy at times, and James gave the ball away a number of times. In one particular moment, I think it was Andre Gomez got a yellow card later in the game because James gave a sloppy ball away, and the only way to stop him, James made a foul. It was actually James, now that I think it was James, put Richarlison through on just before the 20-minute mark, but there was just too much pace on it, so Adrian got before it, and we gave away a free kick moments later after we equalised, and I think it was Joe Gomez who came on for the injured Van Dijk. He swung towards the top corner, and Pickford pulled off a great save for that. So we do know he can actually pull off those saves when he really wants to. And my nerves were pretty much shot at this stage. Even though we had equalised, you just had a feeling that something was going to happen, whether it was the correct decision or, as it turns out, controversy and all that kind of stuff. James was taking a long time to get into the game. Because it was so tight in midfield, the ball was going over the top an awful lot. We were just lobbing them. It's like the Dogs of War days, lobbing the ball to Duncan Ferguson and him trying to hold it up. So it was very, very hard to get any space in midfield for both teams, really. But in that particular area of the field, Liverpool were definitely bossing it better than we were at the time. So I thought that our midfield was, I think the losing that goal early just knocked the stuffing out of us altogether. Another 5 minutes went on. It was very quiet because there was that too much traffic in the midfield. There was no spaces, and we were restricted to those long balls. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin usually does do very well in holding up the ball, but today he wasn't holding up as well, or at least our players weren't reacting to it as much. I think because he's so confident at the moment in scoring goals, that I think he's more, the work he's done with Duncan Fergus, he's concentrating more on that. So we hit the half an hour mark, and to be honest with you, it was probably even Steven at that stage. Sadly, we lost Seamus Coleman to a hamstring injury, so Ben Godfrey came on for his debut, and he did pretty much alright. Just right at the start now, he missed out on a ball that came in, and Thiago, because it went out to Mane, and he just didn't read it right at all. He just wasn't watching Mane at all, and Mane found Thiago, and he blasted over. So it was a wake up for Ben just to be a little bit careful, but he did have a decent game all round. When he came on, he made a couple of clearances, a couple of good tackles. A minute later, we went to sleep again. It was a ball for Mane. He put a chance just wide. There was another chance also for Mo Salah. He kind of tried to side foot it, a definitely touch into the goal. Just wasn't enough pace on it, so Pickford was able to keep that. Alan gave away a silly free kick, and from the free kick, Godfrey got it away. So at that stage, we were looking quite nervy. Liverpool definitely had the better play. We were quite rickety. As I said, Salah had that missed opportunity. Before half time, Godfrey had found Richarlison, I think it was, who he probably would have been done better to put it out wide, but he decided to have a shot from distance, and he hit it very, very high and wide. So it was definitely a better option to bring some more players in. Right before the half time, in the 45 minutes, James gave away a silly free kick, and Mina ended up clearing it, not off the line, but Pickford was nowhere near it, and Mina cleared it, and we broke away after kind of the rebound by Liverpool. It rebounded again, and Decore got away up to the end, but nothing came of it. But at least it broke up the kind of pattern that we were seeing at that point in time, where Liverpool were really getting into the game. Shortly after that, Andre Gomez, it was definitely a cross that it wasn't a shot. He whipped it in so good, it took Adrian by surprise, and he tipped it over the bar for a corner. And then the last minute because it was 4 or 5 minutes at the injury time at the end of the first half, because of the injuries to Coleman and Van Dijk, we let them in again, gone asleep, and most of the chances that they were getting were coming from our own demise. We were just, our rhythm was missing something. It's like your guitar string, and you're missing a string. The rhythm was kind of gone. The second half was more or less the same as the first half. Fabinho had a long distance shot straight over, and then a minute later we didn't learn our lesson. I think it was Henderson then put one just over. But one of the great moments of the game was on 49 minutes, when a wonderful ball by Rodriguez to Digne, and he put it into DCL, who just couldn't get it past Adrian. He just got there millisecond ahead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and it was a great move that really deserved a goal from it. And then from that moment on, we then grew into the game. The next few minutes then, our possession was much better. We were getting more better around the pitch. There was a collision between Robertson and Allen. Thankfully, both seemed okay. They were down on the ground for a number of minutes. So at that point, there was major battles going on in midfield for both teams. And I think the move, I did say the other point would have been the move of the game. I think definitely the move of the game, and just so unlucky that we didn't go 2-1 up at the time on 59 minutes. And just one amazing ball by the better as the game went on, James Rodriguez, and he found Richarlison, and it was just a brilliant header, and just unfortunately it crashed off the post. Adrian knew nothing about it, and that really deserved the goal. And it was so frantic then, going backwards and forwards between the two sides, that it took, I think, until like the 63rd or 64th minute before they could actually show a replay of that chance. We had a break shortly after that, where James went through the centre of the park, and he decided to try and curl one. Now it was on target, but just there was no pace in it, so Adrian saved it easily. So it was starting to open up a bit more. Mane got a yellow card for a very late challenge on Digne, and it would make you argue the point that because he got a yellow card, well then how come Pickford didn't get at least a yellow for the tackle on Van Dijk, because he went straight through Digne, and Pickford of course went straight through Virgil van Dijk, and as I said earlier on, Godfrey really got into the game. His tackles were great. He's pacey. He was not shy and was not really nervous in the game. Being that it's his debut in a Merseyside derby. Just go to show that the good player that he is. So as we entered the last 20 minutes, we were still level, but we're giving it a lot of socks. But unfortunately, Pickford had no answer for the volley by Mo Salah, by good old buddy. He just walloped. I think it was a right foot shot. It just bent away from John Pickford. He was never going to get anywhere near it. And up until that point, we were right in the mix until that goal. But then we started getting deflated again because we lost that goal. We almost then lost a third with a header from Matip, I think it was. Iwobi came on for Decore shortly after that. Firmino stung Pickford's hands around 10 minutes from time, and then thankfully in the 81st minute, a brilliant cross by Digne. This man can cross a ball. We definitely have another fellow Leighton Baines style kind of player with Lucas Digne, and a brilliant ball, and he got a header on it. Now the keeper may have done possibly better on it, but he put it in the back of the net, and it was 2-2. And then of course the wonderful world of streaming, my stream started acting up, so I had to keep switching, and we came into the injury time, seen 5 minutes, and you're thinking, okay, as I always say, the spawn, you never say nothing, the spawn's gonna happen. And next of all, I see in the screen that we're 3-2 down, and I'm going, oh, Henderson and Hendo's gotten the winner in the Merseyside derby, and you're going, oh, here we go. Because at that point, I think for the neutrals, it was a great battling game for them to watch, and thankfully it went to VAR, and whether they want to like it or not, it was offside, with the silly rules. And I never liked VAR. I've said it a million times again. I've done videos on this in the past. I cannot stand this VAR. Yes, it worked for us today, but it could be, if we go on to have this wonderful great season, how many points could you possibly lose from those kind of decisions? And it would be hypocritical of us to say that it was great. It was a great decision. Yes, it was a great decision for us, but we're going to look how many we lost last season when it shouldn't have been. Like the goals against Brighton, the Spurs one with Dele Alli, when these things went against our way. So it was, in one sense, it was nice for them to see what it's like to be on the other end, because last season I don't recall them ever getting a goal chalked off for VAR. So they're not liking it whatsoever. So it went back to 2-2. So the goalkeepers were definitely part of the game. A red card for Richarlison late on, even though he got the ball, so he shouldn't have been sent off, where Pickford, you could arguably say, could have. So there was definitely mistakes made. Despite this and the 2-2, the performance, I go, meh. It was okay. We need a little bit of improvement playing against these bigger sides. And maybe it's just, as I said earlier, the goal that we lost early kind of knocked us out of our stride. But we did show class in moments with great flicks and balls in the air and controlling it in the air and passing it well. And thankfully it finished 2-2. I would imagine Carlo is the happier of the two managers. Not long after the game had finished, it was the number one trend on Sky Sports that Liverpool have gone to the FA to review the decisions made by VAR. Well, I'm sorry, the other 19 clubs in the Premier League are not able to do that, so they shouldn't be allowed to either. They shouldn't be reviewing it at all. Yes, the mistakes are there, but mistakes are made by everyone, and unfortunately they're just going to have to deal with it. I do, if you're a neutral football fan, you do feel sorry for them. With the two decisions, one that they didn't like because it didn't happen, and that's correct. Pickford, in my view, should have been sent off, and in the second one, the goal was rightly chalked off for offside because he was offside. There's been so many photographs going around now since. You can clearly see the difference between our back four, the line, and where Manny was. So he was off. He was definitely offside. So yeah, 2-2, still top of the league. 3 points clear, doing well, and we look forward to our next couple of games, and hopefully the guys did well out of the fantasy football teams today, in the fact that if it is true that Virgil van Dijk has got a serious injury, we of course wish him well. We don't like to see any players getting very, very bad injuries. Yes, Gomez had it last season, and there was a lot of laughs and jokes and all made about it, but I wouldn't like to see a long term or a permanent issue for Virgil van Dijk. So it's finished at Goodison Park. Everton 2, Liverpool 2. We'll talk to you again during the week. Cheerio.